please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ready, two. Will you please join me in the Scout oath? On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Will you please join me in the Scout law? The Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2. Thank you.
Let's hear it for our very own Escalgoo Lodge for the opening flags. My name is Jason Nelson with Troop 400. Join me in a short prayer to open this ceremony. Please prepare yourself in a manner that you are accustomed. Dear Lord, bless all those everywhere who contribute to shaping the hearts, minds, and bodies of young people. Let us remember what they have taught and apply it daily. When facing deceit and dishonesty, let us be trustworthy. If we see hypocrisy and faithlessness, let us be loyal. Where disregard of others and materialism prevail, let us be helpful. When we find people in despair, let us be friendly. In an atmosphere of ill manner, let us be courteous. When some measure strength in brutality and crudeness, let us be kind. Though law-breaking and rule-scoffing are common, let us be obedient. While others gimble and grouch, let us be cheerful. In an environment blighted by waste and extravagance, let us be thrifty. When confronted with danger and temptation, let us be brave. As we see filth and pollution everywhere, let us be clean. While witnessing impunity, let us remember to be reverent. In short, in a world that has, for generation and generation, lamented in the lack of good leaders, let us as Scouts stand out and be the leaders of tomorrow. Amen.
Good morning. Thank you. I love mornings by the fire with my warm coffee and the cold air. I really hope we learn to build this fire in the snow today.
Do we normally do this? It's really cold.
Yeah, we usually do.
You know, I gotta agree with her. It is really cold. Luckily, I packed all my extra clothes, so I'm really prepared for this. Come to think of it, I don't think I would have packed any of that extra stuff if it weren't for scouting. Scout on.
Good morning, Inland Northwest. It's a joy to be with you. Thank you for the gift of your time and attention as we celebrate the 21st Annual Leadership Breakfast, Coffee with the Inland Northwest Council, live from the Spokane Council Center. This event is live on Friday morning, February 5th, 2021. If you are watching us then, this is in fact a live netcast. And if you're watching us after that occasion, then you're watching the videotape of the event that we all celebrated on Friday, the 5th of February. Either way, welcome. Good to have you here. This is a history-marking event in the long, proud history of the Inland Northwest Council, because out of the 21 breakfasts like this one that we've done, this is the first one that we've done virtually. So thank you for being with us as we make history here today. I hope you received your coffee mug and Thomas Hammer coffee and sweet treats to enjoy this morning's event. I'm Tom MacArthur, your MC for the event. I'm a unit commissioner here in the Bigfoot District of the Inland Northwest Council. Earned my Eagle Scout rank in 1976, the bicentennial year of our country, and had the pleasure of working as a visiting commissioner at Camp Parsons over on the west side as it celebrated its centennials, the longest continuously operated scout camp in the United States. We have a special occasion coming up in the history of the scouting program on Monday. Do you know what it is? A bit of trivia question for you here. What organization celebrates its 111th birthday on the 8th of February? Yes, the Boy Scouts of America. It was founded in 1910 and showed up in the Spokane area about 1915. And to give you some perspective in history, 1915 is the year the Clemmer Theater opened. We know it today as the Bing Crosby Theater, which still exists in downtown Spokane. It opened the year after the Grand Davenport Hotel, so we're among some great peers in the history of our city. We have a great program for you this morning. We'll hear from our youth, our leaders, Speaker Michael Gurian, and President Terry Fossum. So please sit back, enjoy your coffee. Let's get back to the Scouts at the campsite.
I'm so happy I was able to join scouting and earn my eagle. I wouldn't have done the crazy things like camp in the snow or build my first fire in the rain.
Build your first fire in the rain? That sounds like a lot of fun. Personally, my first camp out, I rappelled down a 50-foot rock face. Safely, of course.
And now, what about camping in the snow and sleeping in your own cave? I think I'm always going to be in Scouts.
Wow, you got to sleep in your own snow cave? I got to build a shelter and sleep in it. Now that's pretty cool.
Scout on.
Cold morning, it's nice to have something hot in your hands. Well, scouting does make a difference in the lives of our youth and adults. They said it. This year alone, during a time of crisis and pandemic and difficulty, if not impossible to meet, over 3,000 scouts and 1,200 adults persevered. I remember my fifth grade teacher, Mr. Snyder, wrote the word persevere in a yearbook that we had that year back in the 1960s. And that word stuck with me. It fits the scouting program, and we sure need it today. 111 youth made the highest rank of Eagle Scout, 2 of them being girls, and 1 Summit Award from our venturing program. Here's some interesting statistics looking back over the past year. 3,301 merit badges were earned. Each one, of course, has a story behind it. 974 Cub Scout rank advancements, 160 that were Arrow of Light, that's the highest rank in the Cub Scout program. 788 Scout BSA rank advancements. And here's some numbers from the food collection event that we did that just astound me. Scouts collected 65,340.5 pounds of food for our local food banks and $401 in donations. Cheers to the entire effort that made that possible. Scouts completed 1,016 service projects in the past year. Scouts did over 12,000 hours of service. 745 youth were able to attend camp this summer, practicing COVID-19 safety measures. 3,121 nights were camped. 2,225 days were camped. If you were part of these adventures this year, you are part of our history this year, just as you are this morning. Now, let's hear from the adult leaders in our organization, our volunteers who work every day so tirelessly, and let's hear what they have to say about how scouting has impacted their lives.
I was just participating in an activity early on when my son was a Cub Scout, and I remember doing this activity, and one of the kids was acting up, and offhandedly I talked to one of the other Scout leaders, and I said, "How in the world do you guys do this? You know, you signed up for this. I'm here because of my kid." And he kind of took me aside and he goes, "You might be the only responsible adult that this kid interfaces with all day today." And that hit me. That hit me really hard.
The world has changed so much. The world is so fast-paced. And scouting brings us back down. It brings us back to reality and why we are here.
They have information from all different sources that we as parents really have very little if no control over. So having a code that they live by and can recite and understand and work together to try to uphold is very important.
The values that we teach are timeless.
How to be a good citizen, how to be a good member of society, a work ethic. Being a leader means being a part of community and being admirable. And so the traits that scouting teaches you are that of a leader.
I've heard that scouting is old and antiquated and no longer relevant, and I argue 100% the opposite.
It's not your grandpa's version of scouting anymore, right? We've seen the introduction of STEM. So it's not just, hey, we're going out in the woods and starting a campfire and whittling sticks anymore, right? I mean, we're building robots and racing them across the floor. It's a very different environment than it was 50 years ago.
These kids today need more time away from the screens. They need more time in the community. They need more time to be leaders within their peer groups.
A lot of times I will pick camping spots with no cell service. And I'll do it for the fact to get all the kids away from their devices and be kids. Talk with one another. Experience, life around other people and learn.
I think it's good to tell our kids at that young age that they should have goals, that they should have something to aspire to. And it was good to challenge them with those things at a young age, instead of all of a sudden being 18, 19, 20 years old and waking up one day and just seeing all of these huge challenges kind of fall in on them. Start them off early. give them some things to give them some successes early on.
It's rewarding seeing the girls when they first start and seeing how they excel and become better.
I think confidence is built by doing things that you might not otherwise feel comfortable doing. And Scouts in general does a lot for building a kid's confidence and really growing as a human being.
I couldn't be more proud of how she's grown into being a leader. She didn't think she had it in her, but we always knew that she did, and then to watch her be able to go and do this on her own has been a pretty amazing thing to watch over the last year and a half.
Watching our Scouts grow and develop within our oath and law is extremely rewarding, and you see the kids take it in their own direction, and they get their own understanding and feeling and belief from it.
We all come together. We're all wearing this uniform, and we all have political differences and religious differences and all the rest of it. And yet, when push comes to shove, we've got each other's backs. I expected to learn some leadership skills. I expected to learn, how to have fun or to go out and have an adventure or those types of things. That's what I got. What I didn't realize was that I was going to find the very best friends I've ever had in my life wearing this uniform.
We ask ourselves, why invest in scouting? Does it make a difference? Yes, it does. Scouting has made the world a better place by, and see how many of these things you can check off in your own life: saving lives, serving others, building world leaders, growing the next generation of STEM leaders, science, technology, engineering, and math, introducing youth to lifelong careers, developing character, encouraging conservation and sustainability, and creating good citizens prepared for tomorrow. In this age of video games, smartphones, and other electronic distractions, scouting should not be considered as a quaint relic of the past. Rather, the fundamentals of scouting are needed now more than ever. It is a program that will reconnect our youth to the very environment that supports them, while developing the strong, valued, educated, and hardworking leaders needed to guide our nation into an uncertain future. Scouting has been here for 111 years, and we plan to be here for another 100. We will continue to meet the needs of our changing country, bringing the fundamentals of character and leadership to new generations of Scouts. But we can't do it without your help. 2021 is here, and the Council has great leaders, staff, and volunteers that will lead the year into great success. Let's now see what Scouting has done for our Scouts. Roll tape.
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, and to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
I have a little sticky note on top of my mirror in my bedroom saying, "Imagine if you could change the world just a little." That's because of Scouts.
Scouting and the BSA program as a whole have taught me a lot of personality traits and qualities in a good citizen and in a good person that you want around in the workplace or just as a community member.
The easiest way I can see of making a change is helping kids develop into leaders so that they may change the world in the future for the better. We need more leaders like what Scouts produces today more than ever.
Scouting teaches a lot of basic principles, a lot of basic ideals on how to handle yourself, how to handle other people, how to lead if such need, how to react in an emergency situation, how to adapt and overcome.
I did my Eagle project actually this last weekend. I live on Lake Pend Oreille, so I go boating all the time on the beaches and stuff, and they're just filled with trash. So I got 30 volunteers to go with me, and we went on boats and cleaned up all the trash, filled up pretty much like 3 trucks full of trash. I want to make an impact in our world, and hopefully going to college and stuff, I can go into environmental stuff because Scouts helped me find that.
I mean, I've always wanted to take care of the environment in some way or another. I really like it because I get to experience stuff that I've never thought I'd be able to do, such as like welding, scuba diving, and zip lining. And it gets me outside more than if I were just to play video games all day. That's my favorite part.
Which is your favorite part?
Gaga ball. Just have like a court, and then there's like a kickball. There's so many people just hitting it everywhere.
Playing games and camping, making new friends.
Every year we do a popcorn selling, and it gets me more socially active, talking to strangers and stuff like that.
I've grown so much as a person this last year, 2 years. I think it's a great opportunity to help people grow and become who they think they are.
Great stuff. Encouraging, isn't it? Well, now it's time to hear from our speaker, Dr. Michael Gurian, a New York Times best-selling author of 32 books published in 23 languages, co-founder of the Gurian Institute. He has been called the people's philosopher for his ability to combine scientific research with people's everyday lives. And he's one of ours here in the Spokane area. Refresh your coffee and enjoy Dr. Michael Gurian. Sir. I'm trying to do too many things at once.
I hear you. Thank you.
It's so great to be here. Thank you so much for that introduction, and thanks to Scouting and this council and all of you who are watching. Whenever you're watching, this is I think kind of a sacred event, a fundraiser for Scouting, one of the premier organizations in my mind. I have a long history with Scouting, with headquarters, and doing a lot of consulting over the years. It started after the publication of The Wonder of Boys, which was in the 90s, and so I've been honored to work with Scouting at many levels. My area of focus in my life and my research is male-female brain difference, which sounds sort of very sciencey, but Scouting's a great place for science, and it's fun. And so I'm gonna start with a story, and I'm actually gonna show you some brain scans. And one of the things I love about Scouting is the way that it's using the assets of male brain and female brain. And I'll tell you the story that I think everyone will have fun with. There are a bunch of boys, 5 of them. They go down into a basement, and these guys are friends. They go down into a basement. They turn the light off. They make it completely dark. And then they start throwing darts at each other. So just picture that, metal-pointed darts they're throwing at each other. And these guys really love each other. They care about each other. They're good friends. And I always, when I speak, I ask audiences, okay, so can you find any culture on Earth where 5 girls who are 13 years old, who really love each other and care about each other, are going to go down into a completely dark basement and throw metal-pointed darts at each other to show their love? Because this is a profound male-female brain difference. We guys tend to show our love and affection in a more physical way. We like to have objects moving through space. We like to throw things at each other, and these sorts of things. And girls tend to create their own environments. They often are more sensorial. They often use more words. And anyone will notice these differences in all cultures, and they exist because of the X and the Y chromosome, because they're at a molecular level, males and females are different. So it's so neat for them to come together, and it's neat also for them to have girl-only and boy-only environments. And Scouting, of course, gives the best of both. So the other question I like to ask, which I'm asking you in wherever you are, is, okay, you probably are not going to find girls who are going to do that particular thing. Are you going to remember in your own life as a citizen scientist, which is I'm always trying to get people to be citizen scientists. You test everything out that experts say. As a citizen scientist, will you remember incidents like this? If you're male, then when you were a kid. If you're adult, if you're a boy now, you'll be thinking of them. If you're a girl, if you have brothers or other boys, you'll notice them. And you probably will. And that takes you deeper in to some profound male-female brain difference. This starts, obviously, with molecules and with hormones, and then in utero, the male and the female brain are already set up differently. So by the time someone is born, they are male and female brain. So the brains have already what we call differentiated. So for fun, I'm going to show you some scans. So you should see on your screen now, these are National Institute of Mental Health. Check out, at 10 years old, you can see 10 years old, 16 years old, 20 years old. 10 years old, you can see how differently male and female brains are operating. And male and female brains especially operate differently in the first, before adulthood. But even by adulthood, by the time kids are getting their eagle, they're 17, 18, then they're moving sort of to 20, you can see that still, even as adults, we're operating about half differently. But at 10, most of the brain's operating differently. And some of the differences happen because females have words on both sides of the brain. Females do words on both sides of the brain. And this is true of all cultures, all races, because of the molecules and the chromosomes. Males do words on the left. So we don't really do words on the right. Few centers, but basically we're on the left. Females are on both sides of the brain. So females are connecting words to feelings, words to senses, words to memories, from the top of the brain where words occur to the middle of the brain where all that other stuff occurs. They're connecting on both sides of the brain. Males are connecting only on the left. That creates a profound difference between male and female brain. And but the right side of male brains are not blank. The right side of our brains, we do what's called spatial mechanical and visual graphic. So spatial is objects moving through space. So you think about those darts, because you got to ask yourself, every boy you know has done something like that. Every boy you know. You just have to get in there and remember. And every boy you know has not only thrown something to show affection, or his own body, just thrown his own body on someone else to show affection, which is an object moving through space, but he's also done dangerous things, right? Things that someone else, maybe mom or someone else, would say, oh, that's really dangerous. Why would you throw metal pointed darts at each other? What would drive you to do that? Well, the right side of his brain isn't doing words, but it is doing objects moving through space. So it would make sense that his brain is going to do what it's doing. And we got to remember that 1 million years of human nature walk into every home, are born into every home when we have children. 1 million years of brain development that's been differentiated, male and female, walks in, and we care for that. Right? We're committed to caring for males and females. So it's good to know these things. It's good to know that, oh, that's kind of logical, actually, what he's doing. And males have more testosterone, so that's an aggression chemical, so they're going to tend to do things that are more dangerous, more risk-taking, and have to be dialed back. Another really big difference is that females use up to 10 times more white matter activity than males, which moves the signaling all through the brain, white matter. Gray matter happens in certain splotches of the brain. And a lot of female white matter is in the frontal lobe, where she makes executive decisions, tells herself, I don't think I want to throw a dart because I think that's going to hurt. And her brain, very logically, in the frontal lobe says, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to find another way to show our love and affection. But males, most of our brain activity is further back. It's in gray matter splotches further back. We don't do as much here. And one of the incredible gifts of scouting, actually, is that it helps males to move brain activity to the frontal. Because to be fully adult, we all need both. Girls actually need more training in taking risks, and boys need more training in impulse control, what we call impulse control or self-regulation. And that happens here. So males need more help getting the connections to the frontal lobe so they can mature. Females need more help taking more risks. Females are lower testosterone. They don't tend to take as many risks. That's one of the gifts of scouting on both sides, right? Females are taking more risks. They're more adventure format than they would have gotten outside scouting. And you even saw the wonderful kids talking about it. All of those things that are happening out in nature are affecting male and female brains in good ways, each from their own point of view. Here, I'll show you another one. So here are brains at rest. This is another quite fascinating male-female difference. The brain on the right is obviously male, the brain on the left is female. And you can see that in a rest state, and I think every woman who's watching this is going to recognize this, that it's very hard for the female brain to go to a complete rest state where, I'm not talking about sleep, that actually looks different, but where her brain is just completely relaxed and she's not really thinking about anything. That's much harder for the female brain than the male. You see the male on the right, the male goes to an almost complete rest state. And the brain is pretty much shut off. And if you want to be a citizen scientist, you'll recognize this. If you're male, female, and you both have had a 10-hour workday, whatever you've spent your time doing, very busy day, and you want to recharge at the end of that day, you'll notice, what do women tend to do with their spouse? They tend to say, how was your day? They tend to want to talk about the day, which is great. What do the guys tend to do? The guys tend to zone out, right? And they channel check, or they put on some music and some headphones, or their brains are just like that brain on the right. So that's another profound brain difference. Now think about the issue for males with that is that males go to a rest state, which is a boredom state, a lot. They need to be engaged. They need to be engaged in adventure. Because their brain naturally goes to that rest state. And we in the evolutionary biology field believe that this is because of hunting, that for so long, for most of human history, males were hunting, and they were hunting in groups. And hunting, you throw an object at another object, right, to get the prey. Initially what you did is you threw your body onto the mammoth, let's say, but there was a high mortality rate for that. So gradually, we evolved, and gradually we understood, okay, we should throw objects. So we threw objects. And if you think about hunting, and of course now the object is a bullet, right? A gun, bullet moves through space. This is all developing here, moving through space. And you look at video games, and you look at male attraction to video games, right? It's virtual space, and objects are moving very quickly through space, and you control the objects. So we've got 1 million years of human history of the brain doing this, and we think the leftover from hunting is that if you started talking while you were hunting, right, then the prey would never come. You would not survive. Humanity would not survive. You would not have food. So what our brains did and what our genes did is said, okay, males are going to go to a rest state. And they but the disadvantage of that is they're going to therefore go to a boredom state. So quite a bit in school, when we work with schools, we're trying to help the schools understand, okay, those brains, if you don't engage those guys, those brains are going to hit this rest state. And they are not going to hear anything. They're not going to follow any directions because they didn't hear the directions. The brains are shut off. So we got to engage them. Well, think about scouting. It's an adventure format. And think about how engaged those brains are, constantly engaged with problem solving, with dealing with the cold, with building a fire. I mean, all of this is brilliant for the brains. And it's brilliant for girls' brains because they're learning all of those things too. And the adventure is stimulating them in ways that they would not be stimulated somewhere else. So, whenever I work with scouting, I just go back to the basics. It's just an incredible format for who we are, for our brains. Okay, I'm going to show you one more. I mentioned this thing about white matter. This is really profound, and it's relatively unknown. 84% of the gray matter regions, you can see it, and 86% of white matter regions that are involved in thinking, STEM, writing, anything having to do with school, intellectual performance, cognitive, anything like that, is happening in the front for females. You can see it there. And For males, 45% and 0% is happening in the front, right? And I mentioned that we do things further back, and I'm about to show you a scan of that. Let's keep that one up for one more second. So that's one thing that I think amazes people. And of course, the wonderful thing about scouting is it's appealing to both. It's speaking to both. It's speaking to connecting the frontal, and it's speaking to the STEM stuff that happens further back. Now look at the bottom. Another interesting one is the blue brains are male and the brown brains are female. So you may notice that the brown brains, what you see is crosstalk between the hemispheres. So what females tend to do is they tend to talk between hemispheres, and that's the white matter, right? They're taking in 5 or 10 different signals and multitasking 5 or 10 different signals, and that's kind of an asset of their brain. It's a great thing. Males tend to do front to back. So something emotional will happen, and we'll actually start problem solving it more quickly than a female will, because we're not cross-talking to various emotive centers. We're doing it front to back. And that's an interesting thing to note. And one of the things that I really love about scouting, and thank you, we're done with this slide. One of the things I love about scouting is that it is helping both brains. You think about a brain that's moving front to back, you actually want more social emotional development for that brain, right? You actually want it to try to access more emotion. So that's really neat. A brain that is constantly accessing emotion, you want it to develop more problem solving. You want it to develop more problem solving. And one of the kind of unknown and really painful facts of contemporary life for girls, and I have 2 daughters who are now grown, so we lived through this, is for about 10 years, girls go through what we call rumination loops, where they're constantly ruminating about emotive material. Someone rolled their eyes and they ruminate about it. And it's part of their brain, it's an asset ultimately, but how great that they get help through an adventure format in problem solving and stopping the rumination, because the rumination leads to depression, anxiety, and things that are not good. So, okay, I'm going to show you another one. You can tell this is tip of the iceberg, right, on the human brain. So here's I think I'm going to go to this one. Here, you know, I was saying that, actually, I wonder if in this format this will work. Can anyone see my little red dot?
No.
Okay, I was giving it a shot. If you look at the brown or orange brains, you know, those are female, the blue are male. Stay at the top for this. You can see the way the brain is set up. You can see that girls are all that orange in the front where it says BA10 and BA46. That's all the frontal. And now go and look at the exact same brain, the male, blue. Do you see how little is in the front? You see how different that is? And then you go to the next one, you know, the next orange one, and you can see the mass of activity in the frontal, which is at the top where it says OFC. And then you go over to the right and you look at the blue one, right? That's a male without activity. Up in the right, he's doing things further back. So that's really just showing, I just wanted to show you that on a scan. The brilliance of scouting in the adventure format is that it's covering both those brains. It's helping both those brains, right? And the amazing thing, and I'm going to show you infant, and I'll end with this and wrap up. These are results of scans from fetuses. So I just said infant, I meant fetuses. Starting last April, scientists have been able now to scan the brains of fetuses at 8 months in utero, and then they publish their results. Look already. I mean, if anyone thought there were not differences between the male and the female brain, or that those differences were all socialized differences, like we're only different because someone raised us differently, you can obviously see that in the womb, the differences already exist. Females are already connecting top of the brain to the midbrain. So in other words, they're already connecting let's keep those up one more minute. They're already connecting the various parts of the brain, the 2 hemispheres of the brain. All of that is already happening at 8 months in utero. And then you go on the right, you see the males. Males, of course, there's almost no connectivity. And males have a slower developmental tempo than females do. And anyone who's raised kids, I'm sure you've seen this, that males mature in many ways later than girls do, right? And this is another I think, a profound asset to scouting. And I'm gonna end with this and kind of a plea for you to donate and to make this organization flourish, because this is one of the only organizations that focuses on male purpose development, male motivation development, and ultimately what it's focusing on is helping males to mature. It's helping females to be more resilient, and it's helping males to mature, to become good and honorable men. And while it's doing that, it's helping females do that. There is, however, a profound difference between males and females that really, really needs this help and needs this organization. And that is that for girls and for females, there is an internal process by which they mature. They are hormonally, molecularly, neurally forced to mature at puberty, right? They're forced to do it. Biology has them set up to do it. And so they will mature. We will still need to help them mature, but they will mature internally. Males do not have that. We have nothing comparable to menstruation. There is not anything that happens to us that forces us to mature, that compels us to find purpose, that compels us to be motivated, to grow up, to take care of the next generation. We have to be matured into that. And every society in human history has known that. Every society has known you have to have rites of passage for males, you have to give males adventure, you have to mentor them, you have to give them adults in their lives constantly who are helping them to mature. So when I look at scouting, what I look at is an essential organization for both boys and girls because of all the things I've described. And then an add-on is how essential it is for the maturation of males. So I beg you to dig deep because we need you and scouting needs you. Thanks a lot.
Michael, thank you. The brilliance of scouting, isn't that a powerful statement? And we're in the middle of this brilliance, sitting around a campfire, boys and girls, sharing the program of scouting, the brilliance of scouting. Well, let's do an imaginary situation now, shall we? A message in a bottle. Imagine writing a message about scouting. Remember, we don't know how far this message will go or who will pick it up or even when. What message do you want to put in a bottle about scouting to encourage boys and girls to check out the brilliance of scouting? What would you write?
Hey Logan, will you share your message?
Sure. Scouting has allowed me to go on adventures that I would not do before.
Scouting has given me the opportunity to be the best version of myself and learn leadership skills that I use in everyday life.
Without Scouts, I wouldn't have some great friendships I do today. I've met so many amazing girls that are interested in the same high-adventure activities as me.
Scouting has really allowed me to push past my limits and go past my comfort zone and do things I never would have dreamed of. It's really amazing. Scout on.
Scout on. My message in a bottle. I was trying to answer this question too. Here's my message. Adults, we need you too. The program needs leaders, volunteers. You can invest in scouting, certainly, financially, and invest in it personally as well, either or both. Our next speaker is our president this year, Terry Fossum. Terry L. Fossum is a military veteran, a successful businessman, a global adventurer, and the winner of Kicking and Screaming Survival Reality Competition on Fox Television. His scouting bio spans over 50 years as a youth, an adult at all levels, from local to national, currently serving as the president of the Inland Northwest Council. He is most proud, though, of his time as a scoutmaster, helping young boys and girls become honorable men and women. Please give a warm scouting welcome to our president, Mr. Terry Fossum.
Thanks so much, Tom, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. And it's fun to have coffee with you. Look forward to having it with you in person again, God willing, sometime soon. Hey, you know what? It's no secret that our council has been hit really hard over this past year. No secret at all. When the LDS decided to leave scouting, it left a big hole in our membership and in our finances. And then COVID hit, and that hit us really, really hard. You know, let me be painfully honest, our budget is hurting. Now, most of you know my scouting story. I was born in the poorest city in the entire United States of America. I was surrounded by gangs and drugs. I was on the wrong end of an assault rifle in junior high, in my own back alley. When I was in high school, my father was killed. Before he died, one of the neighbors came up to him and said, "I just want to make sure you understand something. Not a single one of your boys will ever grow up to be anything." Man. But thankfully, we had scouting. But what if we didn't? What if all of this happened to scouting back when I was about to join? What if they didn't have the finances to keep scouting going, to reach those boys at that point and girls like they wanted to? What would have happened to me then? I promise you, I would not be here speaking to you right now. I may not be anywhere. But that begs the question then, what about the youth in the inland Northwest? What if they don't get scouting? What if we're not able to reach out to them? You know, that's what drives me day and night right now. That's what's keeping me going. That's what keeps me up late at night and keeps me working all day long, because kids out there need scouting. And thank God people like you are stepping up to help out. Now, they've got some levels of giving that we're going to ask you to consider today. But let me be the first one to say, I understand family budgets, and I understand these could be hard times. So however you can help out, we will thank you for it. And in fact, we'd also, for whatever level you give at, we'd love to give you this patch right here. Beautiful patch that you can wear proudly or put into your collection. It's going to be a one-time only patch you'll be able to have. Now, if you give at the $100 level, you're considered a supporter of scouting, and we thank you for it in a big way. If you give at the $200 level, you're considered a friend of scouting. And I'm going to tell you in a few minutes what this money is going to go for. I think you'll be happy about it. If you give at the $300 level, you're going to support one kid in scouting. And we have a special gift for you. The Inland Northwest Council Invest in Scouting Council Patch. Now, this is a one-time only patch that's going to be made, very limited quantity, special edition, that you can add this to your collection or wear it proudly on your uniform to show that in our scouting time of need, you stepped up. Sets an example for others. Now, there's also the $600 level where you support 2 scouts in scouting. And you'll get that patch, and you'll also get one of the books from our speaker today. And this is an amazing book. You can tell already from his speech today, fantastic information to help us be able to better relate to the boys and girls in our care. The 1250 level is called the Golden Eagle level. Now, this one's really cool. There's special recognition, and there's also an invite to an invitation-only reception and dinner. Now, this is at this sprawling estate. Scouting doesn't pay for it. We have donors that pay for it. I've gone to this, and I'm sitting there going, I can't believe I'm here right now. It is really cool. And perhaps the most fun part is you're there at this amazing place with this amazing dinner with your scouting buddies. It's really fun. I ask that you consider that one. And we've got a new level as of last year called the Platinum Eagle. Now, I don't even know what the recognition for this will be yet, but I can guarantee you it's going to be cool. And we're not in it for the recognition, and I get that. We're in it for the kids. So where does that money go to? Because that's of high interest to you and me, right? Listen very closely. 100% of your donations will go to local scouting. To local scouting. It's not going to go anywhere else. It's not going to national. It's not going to anything else, but to support our kids right here in the Inland Northwest Council. And here's how. That money's going to go to our camps, into our programs. It's going to go back to the units in ways to help them recruit, to help them reach more kids out there that need scouting. We're going to give them new tools like blow-up BB gun ranges that they can take out in the community to get kids' attention, new support, new activities that can help them grow and reach more kids. We're going to use that money to help support the existing units and the new units that we build, giving them new cool tools, new program ideas, new program helps, ways to help advancement and retain those kids. And we're going to use a percentage of that money to help build on See, for those who have been to Wood Badge leadership training, you understand the concept of the acorn. Planting the acorn right now for the mighty oak later on. And we're working on new ways to develop revenue for our scouts right now and into the future. Some of your money right now is going to get a multiplying effect that will help generations come, because let's face it, there will be other storms. And we want to work right now to make sure that we're ready for those storms ahead of time. You'll get a great return on investment of whatever you give. And speaking of return on investment, I don't think there's a better return on investment anywhere than to give to scouting, because scouts give back. See, the dollars you give to develop these boys and girls right now is actually going to go out to other organizations everywhere as they grow up and give back to the community. You're going to hear an amazing example of that in a scout named Logan coming up very soon. Scouts give back, and they do it generation after generation after generation, because scouts usually have kids that join scouting. You know, the bottom line is scouting turns boys and girls into honorable men and women. And I think we need more honorable men and women in our country right now, don't you? Well, you can do something about it, and you can do something about it right now. So whether it's the level of $100 supporter, $200 friend of scouting, $300 to support and get the special gift of the patch, support 2 scouts at $600 and get the book, the Golden Eagle or the Bronze Eagle, we really invite you and ask you to help us out in our time of need. This is our time, and thank God that we're here right now to help these kids that need it the most. This is our time to step up. This is our time to create a legacy. And on behalf of these kids you're going to help, these kids that may never even know your name or know you exist, but whose lives you're going to change forever. On behalf of those kids, God bless you and thank you. Tom, back to you.
Terry, thank you for your message this morning, your enthusiasm for scouting, your confidence in our future as scouts, and for your contagious message of cheer. All of that is very much appreciated. If you haven't yet donated in scouting, please consider a financial investment. You can text the number 216-417. You'll see it there at the bottom of your screen. So 216-417. To this number, 1-855-575-7888. With a few taps, you've invested in scouting, and truly and literally with the kids around the campfire. Now, let's hear from our top popcorn seller, Logan Fisher. Logan is a 13-year-old Boy Scout in Troop 202. He's working on his star rank. Logan loves scouts, learning, genealogy, camping, and playing video games. He's involved in many activities, including 4-H, active in his church and international genealogy group, and part of his school leadership. Logan has been our top popcorn seller for the past few years and is known for investing part of his popcorn profits back into community causes. Logan, this is where the script has your name in it. We'd like to hear what your heart has to say about scouting.
Scouting has helped me so much over the few years. I've learned many new things. I've always been interested in aviation, and through completing the merit badge, I was able to make connection to a pilot who taught me many new things. I was able to explore an airplane hands-on, which was neat. Through scouting, I get to camp each month, which I love. It helps me spend time away from video games. One of the biggest things scouting has done for me is learn how to sell popcorn. I sold popcorn since first grade, and each year I've always become better. 4 years ago, I was the top 10 seller selling $3,250, and for the past 3 years, I was the #1 seller in the council. This year I was able to sell $16,320 despite the challenges of COVID. Since I started scouting, I sold just under $50,000. Through selling popcorn, I have learned courage, the importance of never quitting, even when it's cold and rainy outside. And the most importantly, that I can accomplish goals that I set for myself. With the money I have earned from my Scout account, I have been able to donate over $2,000 to those in need. In 2019, I was able to purchase Christmas decorations for a nursing home who lost all of the decorations in a roof leak. I spent Thanksgiving evening putting up all the Christmas trees and decorations, which surprised the residents the next day. This past December, I donated $1,000 to families in Cambodia who could not afford food. They had lost their jobs due to COVID, and a recent flood wiped away the food crop. I'm asking you to give back too. Join me in making a financial investment in Scouting. Your investment will allow more youth to participate in Scouting, and it will help us rebuild Scouting after COVID-19. Help us Scout on.
We used a little milk carton for Logan to stand on, and I looked at that just now, and it strikes me that that's kind of an analogy for what we're trying to do. Put something out there for these kids to stand on so that they can join us at the big podium of life, find their voice, and follow their dreams. That is Scouting. Well, that's it for this morning. Thank you, Scouts, for being here today, and for each of you for logging in. Scouting teaches life lessons for our youth and adults. Your financial investment makes Scouting happen. A special thank you to our presenting sponsor, Avista Corporation, Primera Blue Cross, Thomas Hammer Coffee, Wagstaff, Washington Trust Bank, Idaho Forest, Perrone Foods, Michael Altringer, and Jay Nordling. We should also mention Marcia Hunt, the producer and writer of our program this morning. Cheers to all of them, and cheers to you. As we've heard it said so many times, Scout on. Text to give, 216-417. That's the number to text to 1-855-575-7888. Have a fantastic Scouting Day. Thank you for the gift of your time and attention this morning for our 21st annual and first virtual Scouting Breakfast for the Inland Northwest Council. Scout on.